Welcome back. Doubly busy time in my life here as we have hoisted the Stanley Cup once, twice, three times in parades. This guy got out of Washington right when the going was good. He went off to Russia. His name's not even Trump. He is a Washington Post insider for all things soccer. This is his 7th World Cup. He is over in Russia for as long as it takes, as they say, to crown a champion. We'll be watching the Germanys and the Brazils. I got to know him 25 years ago running around with John Harkes and Bruce Arena Lothies many years ago back when the World Cup was in the United States of America in 1994. Steve Goff is Soccer Insider on Twitter. Very, very simply put. Hundreds of thousands follow him. And he will be door-to-door with all things coverage. Well, at least you don't have a U.S. team to worry about over there, Steve. So, that's a big part of your job that's no longer there after 6 World Cups. The whole thing's sort of strange, including the FIFA World Congress coming together on Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, your time in Moscow, and giving the United States, along with our enemies from Canada and Mexico, where we're building walls, a World Cup. It is a strange time in the world, and you're in Moscow. I don't need to tell you that, Steve.
Yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Well, let's start with the bid, right? I mean, this country has tried since the World Cup left the Rose Bowl in 1994 to get it back. It's worth a lot of money, which is why the mafia got involved with the rubles in Russia and Qatar and won these 2 bids. The U.S. allegedly did it the clean way. Run me through the cleanup of soccer and FIFA over the last 4 years, because the U.S. probably should have had this World Cup, if not the one in Qatar in 4 years. But this is sort of a little bit of a consolation prize, right?
Yeah, it's more than a consolation prize. I mean, this is... It's still the World Cup, and 2026, 3 countries will share the tournament. The U.S. will stage the bulk of the schedule, 60 out of the 80 matches, including everything from the quarterfinals on. Mexico and Canada will get 10 each, but I mean that was part of their bid proposal. Ultimately, it's FIFA's decision. So if FIFA wants to make a couple of adjustments to the schedule and how many games are played in certain countries or certain cities, they can do that. But as it stands right now, there will be 16 venues in all, and the U.S. won this bid against Morocco, and the voting has changed. I mean, ever since the FIFA scandal, corruption scandal, FIFA has, reformed itself and added greater transparency to what they do. In the past, it was a 22-member panel that voted in secret who would stage the World Cup, and that led to some unsavory situations that left the U.S. in the cold. Now, all the member associations, so essentially 200 countries that belong to FIFA, vote. And, Nicaragua has the same voting weight as Germany, and so on. So all the countries, their voting record was posted about an hour afterward, and things are out for public inspection. And the U.S. won. Not only the U.S. win, they won easily. I mean, we were expecting a close race, and they received about 2/3 of all the votes. So it was a landslide.
What does it mean for the country at this point, especially at a tender time where you're over in Moscow and you're one of the few Americans over there, quite frankly, because there's no American soccer team over there? I don't want to say consolation prize, but the timing of it is interesting, and the part where there's no automatic bid because there's 3 countries, right? So the U.S. still might not qualify for its own World Cup, which is, and certainly Canada probably wouldn't qualify if they're trying hard, right?
No, all 3 will get automatic bids. Host countries get automatics, and that is not official yet because it's too early in the preparation, the organizing. But Canada, U.S. And Mexico will ultimately receive automatic bids to the World Cup in 2026.
Well, that's as big a news as anything. That's almost as big as hosting it, right? Especially on the eve of a cup you didn't qualify for. So, same thing would be said for Italy and the Dutch, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than not being in the cup, and winning the bid also gets you into the cup. So that takes a little strain away from whomever the coach is in 22 and 23 and 24, right?
Yeah, I mean, U.S. will have to qualify for 2022, and they should. I mean, they missed it this time around. I look at it as an anomaly. The sky is not falling. They had a bad qualifying cycle, and they blew it. They missed out. But to think that this program is not going to bounce back and qualify next time around is a little far-fetched. Same thing. This is a World Cup this year without not only the U.S., which had gone 7 straight times, but no Italy, no Netherlands, Chile, Ghana, Cameroon. A lot of usual participants did not qualify this time around, and these things happen. England. You might remember the 1994 World Cup in the U.S., England didn't qualify. Either did France. So, there are bumps in the road, even for teams that are accustomed to being in the World Cup all the time. U.S., as I said, should be fine for 2022. And obviously would receive an automatic bid for 26.
Well, obviously, when you look down at some of the countries that are in this thing, you say, well, there's no U.S., there's no Dutch, there's no Italy, but all of a sudden, there's Iceland, and there, some sort of side door entries into all of this stuff that makes things a little bit more interesting all the way around. But at the top of this thing, there sits Brazil and Germany and kind of sort of everyone else, and Spain's already had their drama this week, so I'm sure there'll be some twists and some turns. Give me a couple of teams that may shock some folks here in the first 12, 14 days of the tournament by winning a game or two that maybe we're not accustomed to seeing.
Well, I think some of the dark horses to go a long way in this tournament include Belgium, which has its golden generation of players right now at their peak. Colombia made a quarterfinal 4 years ago. Peru is making its first appearance since 1982 and has a very strong team coming out of South America. I'd watch for Peru as well. Iceland was in the European Championship last time around, and this is not despite their small population, Icelandic soccer has performed very well in recent years. They really are a model for what a small population, a small soccer country can do. Will they advance to knockout stages this World Cup? Yeah, it's quite possible. We're going to see them against Argentina this weekend. It's a big test. Other teams in the mix, Spain, as you mentioned, is having its issues off the field. Argentina with Lionel Messi will be a threat. Portugal with Ronaldo. You have Brazil and Germany.
It always gets heavy for Brazil, though, doesn't it? Right? I mean, it's really, really heavy on them specifically more than they're the New York Yankees. They're the Cowboys, right? They're supposed to win.
Yeah, and there's a heavy burden on them going into this World Cup because of what happened to them 4 years ago, losing at home in the semifinals to Germany 7-1 in one of the most shocking results in World Cup history. They have to clear that mental hurdle of what happened under heavy expectation last time around. It's a team that's playing extremely well right now. Neymar's coming off injury and is rounding into form. Brazil, Germany's a slight favorite right now because they are the defending champion. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brazil ends up winning this sixth championship.
Stephen Goff has been covering soccer at the Washington Post for a quarter of a century. This is his 7th World Cup. He is in Moscow right now, awaiting lots of long nights over there and early mornings over here as the World Cup gets going. Dare I mix sports and politics in the modern world, but dude, you're sitting in the middle of Russia, and clearly this is Putin's baby, and this is always a political baby as much as the Olympics are as well. A fascinating couple of weeks for our country and certainly for their country in putting on this World Cup.
Yeah, no, it's Russia in the international spotlight, just as it was 4 years ago for the Sochi Olympics. The world has its eyes fixed on Russia for the next 4 weeks. There are going to be hundreds of thousands of visitors here. Russia is not a country accustomed to large numbers of visitors. It's just the way it is. And, walking around Moscow today, you see people from Nigeria, Peru, Colombia. Mexico has a huge fan base that traveled over, many of whom live in the United States. There are 88,000 tickets sold to this World Cup to fans who live in the United States. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're U.S. national team fans because of the diversity of our nation. Obviously you've got a lot of European fans that traveled across the continent from England and France. It's a huge party. It's a great time. It's fun. Hopefully everything is peaceful. And
it's spread out, right? Time. I mean, it's much like South Africa, where it's way, way, way bigger than you think. And if you got a game in Ekaterinburg, you got a long way to go. How much traveling are you doing? How many sites are you going to see games in over there, Steve?
Not too many, actually. I'll be based in Moscow. There are 2 stadiums here in Moscow, which means there's a lot of games of the game on average every other day through the group stage, and then we get into the knockout rounds. Moscow is the hub of transportation for the country as well. So really, to get to some of these places, you're going to go through Moscow anyway. There's another reporter from the Post who bounce around, Chuck Culpepper. Plus, our Foreign Bureau is contributing here in Moscow to coverage. My guess is I will spend most of my time here in the capital city.
All right, man. Well, I hope you enjoy yourself over there. Don't spend too many rubles and have some fun. It wasn't on me to think that I was going to go running around Russia to see the U.S. team had they qualified anyway. I had sort of bowed out on it early on. Same thing with Qatar. I went to Germany 12 years ago. I had designs on going to South Africa. I had designs on going to Brazil. Russia was one of those that just felt really, really distant and difficult. I think for any American to go over there and some of the far-flung places, and especially when your team's not in, I hope it's not lost on the people here over the next month. I don't know that anyone's going to get sucked into this that isn't already there, but it's the greatest soccer tournament in the world. It's the greatest sports tournament in the world. Any thoughts on winners here? Is it Brazil's to win or lose? Germany? Is it about those 2 teams and everyone else?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think Germany is a slight favorite because they are a defending champion. Brazil, France is a threat for sure. I'd love to see Belgium make a long run. So hard to say. I think right now I would pick Brazil.
Yeah, that's where the smart money is, I guess. We always say that until they get to playing and they get nervous. So we'll see how it goes. Steve, take care of yourself over there, man. Thanks for making the visit, making the time, and celebrating the fact that we're going to have a World Cup here in 8 years, and you get to pick from places like Washington and Dallas and San Francisco and different places. And Baltimore's in on this bid. Any thought on that at all as to what the U.S. side of things and what FIFA would want to do? That is it realistic that Baltimore would have a chance? Certainly, we played a lot of soccer games here.
Yeah, I think they're in the mix. I don't think they're one of the favorites, but look, there's going to be 16 venues selected. There'll probably be 2 in Canada, 3 in Mexico. That leaves 11 in the United States, and there's some obvious choices. You're going to be in New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Boston will definitely be in. So Seattle, I think, is a strong contender. You'd think they'd come to Washington as the nation's capital, but, we'll see. FedEx Field will be nearing the end of its lease with the Redskins. Maybe the Redskins will be building a new stadium at that time. We just don't know. I think Washington has the advantage over Baltimore, but Baltimore is certainly in the mix, just like, Philadelphia and Orlando. Nashville is a dark horse in all this. Good market. Kansas City, Denver scored very high marks in the stadium review by FIFA's inspection panel. So a lot of great choices, and we'll see how this plays out. The venues will not be selected for probably 2 more years.
Take care of yourself over there and enjoy the soccer. We'll be getting up early each and every morning. It is our favorite time every 4 years. Steve Goff is Soccer Insider. You can follow all of his soccer coverage on World Cup 2018 from Moscow at Soccer Insider as well on Twitter. Steve, take care of yourself. Bring me back a scarf.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
Steve Goff, one of our old friends, and no one covered soccer better than him over there. We'll be watching the World Cup all weekend. You can certainly check out the schedule out at WNST.net as well. Certainly circling that Argentina-Iceland game on Saturday. Very interested in the Germany-Mexico game on Sunday afternoon, as well as Brazil and Switzerland. Big games beginning this weekend. World Cup 2018. You guys know I'm a sucker for soccer. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning paper delivers digitally. It's not even on paper. It's in your email inbox each and every morning. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness at PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, and there's always a Planet Fitness in your community, in your neighborhood. Go to Planet of Triumphs. Get some inspiration for the summer. Get yourself in shape. Any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday, driving you home, getting you ready for the weekend, for the World Cup, for the U.S. Open. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.